This is an iPod, and I think it needs to make a comeback in 2024, but not for the reason that you think. Let's jump right in. The other day, I came across this 9to5 Mac editorial, and it resonated with me a lot. Basically, the writer was nostalgic for the good old days, when music was, quote, a core product for Apple. Both iTunes and the iPod were key profit drivers for the company back in the mid-2000s. And while they're not losing money on music by any stretch of the imagination, with Apple Music contributing to over 6% of the company's profit by some estimations, Apple actually made something like 40% of their revenue in 2006, all thanks to the iPod. Certainly, the market has shifted in the past 2 decades or so as technology and UX has evolved, but I as well am yearning for the good old days. You see, I hate to say it, but I think I'm starting to hate smartphones, at least somewhat. And that's because they are hella distracting. Don't get me wrong, these slabs of glass are incredibly empowering. Phones are useful for finding out information on the world around you, it's for getting stuff done, and it's nothing short of amazing that the smartphone in your pocket has unlimited access to content on demand. Hell, statistically speaking, at least half of you are probably watching this very video right now on a phone. Although, with having all of this power also comes great responsibility, as to not get distracted with all the stimuli. Now, if what I'm about to say doesn't apply to you, well, congratulations, I'm jealous. However, being honest with myself, which is very hard to do, having that mental fortitude is way easier said than done, especially as someone that works on the internet and is also terminally online. I am terminally ill. Just mentally. Something as simple as picking up my phone to play music in the background while I'm working can snowball into bigger distractions that kill my focus. It is so easy to cave into the temptation to scroll Twitter for a few minutes or watch a TikTok or two when these apps are simply a swipe away. But luckily, there are a few solutions out there to help combat this. Before I get to the meat and potatoes of this video, I'd like to take a moment to talk about today's sponsor, Paperlike. Paperlike for the iPad is not your average screen protector. It's actually better than that. With their nanodots micro bead technology, not only does it help to cut down on screen glare without sacrificing clarity, but it also gives your Apple Pencil a satisfying amount of texture and resistance that makes writing on your iPad feel more like real paper, while also feeling soft enough to avoid damaging the Apple Pencil tip. I especially love it on my iPad mini, which I've already been using for quick doodles and taking notes with around the office, but now it feels even better with the pencil, and this screen protector is super thin at 0.12 millimeters for precise feeling inputs as well. Paperlike for iPad is perfect for illustrators, graphic designers, or anyone that loves to take notes on their tablet. And if you decide to buy their Pro bundle, you also get a handy cleaning kit and pencil grips to round out the overall experience. If you'd like to check out Paperlike for iPad and support the content that we make here on Denki, head over to the link in the description. Seriously, this is a cool product, and huge thanks to Paperlike for sponsoring this video. Now, let's talk iPods. Probably the most brute force way I have to eliminate distractions is to move key tasks away from your distraction device of choice, whether it be your phone or computer, over to single-purpose devices. For example, since I like listening to a lot of music as I work, a device such as the iPod Classic checks a lot of boxes. Not only did it come from a time when physical headphone jacks were still popular, but there is absolutely something to having a device that is not connected. Also, I just like the fact that the iPod Classic has physical touch buttons as well. Of course, owning an iPod in 2024 by itself has a bit of novelty to it, but I do like the fact that this one in particular is not connected to the internet, which means it'll keep us in focus. This is actually a 5.5 Gen iPod Classic that I modded myself for a video a couple of months ago on the channel, and I really like the way that it turned out. The yellow color is of course charming. I also have custom firmware on here that allows us to play whatever video and audio files we want. Obviously, if you rely mainly on streaming services and don't already own your own music, getting an iPod like this all set up with the tracks that you want could be quite tedious. Though personally for me, I had a bit of fun updating my library, sourcing everything like it was back in 2003. And I can rest assured knowing that I actually own all of my favorite music should they disappear from my favorite streaming services down the line for whatever reason. So that is for music. But another area that I've seen people talk about with regards to finding distraction-free devices is for typing up documents and writing notes. And so I have found this, the FreeWrite Smart Typewriter. So the idea with a device like this is that it's supposed to bridge the gap between something like a laptop and also something analog like a typewriter. So you can type up documents on here with the built-in mechanical keyboard and the e-ink display, and once you need to actually hop stuff onto the internet, it will sync with whatever cloud service you use, whether it's Google Drive, Evernote, and Notion work as well. So it's not completely disconnected from the internet, but connected in ways that are actually useful and also, most importantly, not distracting. While we're waiting for the FreeWrite to boot, I must say that the build quality is very nice. Feels like it's made out of metal, charges via USB-C, and we have a nice looking mechanical keyboard as well. Gonna connect it to Wi-Fi. It is not a touchscreen. Here I am trying to tap it, it's on a touchscreen. I'm so permanently connected to my smartphone that I think everything's a touchscreen these days.
2 very boring minutes later.
All right, so it took a moment to set up, connect to our Wi-Fi, and also have the document sharing all sorted. But now that we are all good, we can actually turn off Wi-Fi, have all of the documents live on our device until we connect it onto Wi-Fi again. And we can just start typing. There's no distractions on here. It's literally just a blank slate. Let's just do a test of the keyboard. This is a test of the FreeWrite Smart Typewriter. Yeah, I mean, it works just as intended. The e-ink display doesn't refresh all that fast, but when you're just typing up documents, it is totally fine. Also, I do like the backlight in here. It makes reading whatever you're typing a lot easier. The only gripe that I have is that the mechanical keyboard on here isn't exactly the best. It honestly sounds like they put a $30 mechanical keyboard onto a really expensive piece of hardware, which is a shame because this device, it costs $650.
What?
Yeah, I know, it's kind of insane. I will give them this. If you wanted to carry it around from office to your car or transport it, it does have a handle. Don't think that that's worth 650 bucks, though it is also made out of metal. But really, if you want a cheaper alternative, FreeWrite also has the FreeWrite Alpha, which is around $350. And the concept is generally the same. You have a screen that you type on and a simple keyboard and Wi-Fi connection to sync all of your documents over the internet. But yeah, this is made out of the cheapest plastic in the world. At least it has a kickstand to level with your wrist a little bit when you're typing. But it's a cheap-ass membrane keyboard. They sound like my knees. I think these devices are cool in concept, but should anyone really buy these? Probably not. Man, this screen isn't even backlit. Yeah, man, for 350 bucks, this ain't it. You have to really be all about that distraction-free typing life in order to want this, but I think this might be a little too brute force if I'm being real. What I do think is a better alternative is the good old-fashioned pen and paper. I think grabbing a small notepad even like this that you can keep in your pocket and a tiny pen goes a long way to jotting down notes, even compared to using your smartphone. As long as you keep yourself roughly organized, scratching on a piece of paper like this, reminder, hey Luke. See, I remember this time. I'm gonna triple underscore it just so I remember.
Eat this week.
Yeah, food. No, for real, all of this is super useful. And one of the biggest pieces of advice that I've heard from anyone when it comes to taking notes and whatnot with pen and paper is to buy a notebook that you don't particularly care about. Really, having a notebook that you can just throw away or lose without worrying about it really goes a long way to building the habit. I can't stress that enough. Now, if for whatever reason you cannot live without your smartphone for chunks of your day, turns out most phones have built-in features to help you keep your focus that are often ignored. Focus modes and do not disturb are features that keep the noise of your notifications and other app activity down to a minimum. Now, how much you are actually able to control will depend on the phone you are using. But if you happen to be on Samsung One UI or iOS, there are pretty robust options for these features. Especially if you are like me and can't be trusted to toggle these modes on and off, you can actually set up triggers to do it for you based on time, location, or even the apps you're using. On my iPhone, for example, I have a focus mode specifically for work that automatically turns on when I step within 100 feet of the office, so I don't have to worry about toggling it myself. And why this mode is important to me is because it moves all of my productivity apps, such as Notion, Slack, YouTube Studio, etc., front and center on my home screen. And it also mutes my Discord and Twitter notifications, which were the most distracting things on my phone. Then at 5 p.m., when my work is all done and I leave Overclock Media, my personal focus mode turns on, muting all of my work-related notifications, and centers on my social media and chat apps that I can use to catch up on what I missed throughout the day. Again, what is really cool about all of these focus modes is that they switch automatically. I don't even have to think about it, which goes a long way towards me actually using these features and caring about things like mental mode switching and balanced phone use. It might sound like a bit of a pain to set up, but you can also have fun with this as well. Apple lets you tie wallpapers to different focuses, which not only helps you visualize what focus modes you are on at a glance, but you can also play them to particular themes as well if it helps. For example, when I want to zone into my music, I have a dedicated music focus. It has a music-related anime wallpaper, music widgets, and centralizes all of my music-related apps. Plus, it is configured to mute literally every notification, phone call, text message, Discord, whatever, kind of making it like a modern-day interpretation of an iPod. It's great as a, I'm going through it right now, I'm just gonna listen to my music, don't talk to me. And I like it because it literally cost me $0 to set up, as opposed to things like an iPod that you have to refurbish, or dedicated Android music players such as the Hebe M300 or Walkman A306 that we really liked a lot, but in the scheme of things, are pretty expensive, especially compared to $0. What's better than free?
Free 99.
No, that is not free. For real, I think this is a solution that most people could compromise to in order to rein their smartphone use in. If some of you guys out there are terminally online like me and are also trying to curb your usage as well, let me know if you found anything useful in the comments below. And otherwise, thanks for watching this video on Denki channel.